Welcome to the Daily Shift, where every day, pretty much between Monday and Friday, um, I come to you at 12:15 p.m. Central Time to bring you a little morsel for your soul, right? We want some soul food, some soul prosperity, because we're told in the good book, and it's a perfect equation for those who love esoteric readings or esoteric knowledge. You will prosper and be in health as your soul, which is your mind, your will, and your emotions prosper, which is why so many of us are attracted to mindset work because we understand that it works. But I've been breaking down some things on 1010. We love sometimes in these circles, magic numbers. So whenever I see 1010, it reminds me of the good book where it says that the light worker came to give us life and that life more abundant to the full until it overflows by all means excessive. And so that is the divine abundance that we are tapping into. I'm having a masterclass on 1010. And so I have been releasing bonuses around that already. I have more bonuses that I'll be releasing this week as well. Yesterday, actually the last 5 Mondays, I have been releasing like mini masterclasses around the 4 pillars of manifestation. And then we're going to close that off on Monday. So if you're interested in that, you can look at the playlist for this podcast and you're looking for the ones they say manifesting things easier is parts 1 through 5. So because we're going to be doing a deeper dive in the 4 pillars of life, I started with the first pillar yesterday, which was emotional freedom. And today we're going to be focusing on personal vitality. Now in the 1010 event, we'll be breaking these down even more. And you're going to be receiving, when you get your ticket, a bunch of things. You're going to get the masterclass replays. You're going to get a support group that's only going to be open for a short period of time on Telegram. But you're also going to have a lot of bonuses. Some of them I've already released. And so for those who were able to get in level 1 of this event, which was a bunch of complimentary seats, we're now in level 2, which start the paid seats. And those will also include a one-on-one with me. As of this moment, the tickets are $11.11. They will be going up to $55.55. They'll be going up this afternoon to $22.22. So if you're listening to this on replay before I change the price, go and get your ticket. You're going to get a bonus. And then I'm also going to have more prizes, and the total value of that alone is going to be over $400 because I can't help myself. I can't help myself. I love to sow into people's lives. And so that is what is coming. And if any of that is of interest to you, to get more about how to really tap into divine abundance in any or all of the 4 pillars of life, then I invite you to grab your ticket while it's still in early bird pricing. You can go, this mirror, you know where, to the link that's provided, yourgpsforsuccess.net, to get your early bird pricing. So now let's talk about the second pillar, which is how to take your power back. It's your personal vitality. It is the area where you can create healthy boundaries, and also, letting your yes be yes, your no be no. And the other component of personal vitality is to be able to make the most aligned decisions. And so there are a lot of different ways for you to have your personal vitality. A lot of times what happens is that people will say, well, yes, you need healthier boundaries. But then they end up chastising you, like, you should have healthier boundaries. How does that help? How does it help anybody getting chastised for not when you don't have healthy boundaries? Because you get a harvest of that. And so what we're going to be talking about, thriving relationships, we're going to be using the DISC model and some other things as well. So I'm going to use a combination. Now, depending on what you want to use, you can figure out how to really create these healthier boundaries for you and also make the most aligned decisions. For today's mini masterclass around this, and to get you prepared for next week's masterclass that is happening, I'm going to be using myself as an example. So I'm going to first use human design. If you're new to human design or never heard about it, think of it like Enneagram on steroids, or the DISC model, or Myers-Briggs. It is really probably the most accurate system that I have found if you're doing some personal development work on yourself. Does it work when you're looking at other people's information? Yes. But sometimes it's a little harder to discern some things. So then in that recommendation to have thriving relationships when you're new to this, I recommend DISC, because DISC, D-I-S-C, is very easy to spot and to implement almost immediately. You'll see it like work like magic. It is amazing. And that's something that we're going to be doing a deeper dive in the masterclass next week. So for you to have this personal personal vitality, I'm going to again use myself as an example. In the DISC model, and if you're new to human design and would like to know more information, go ahead and put #human design wherever you're finding this, either on YouTube or on the Facebook group or my personal Facebook page, and I will get back to you and we'll chat, and I'll show you some of my favorite free resources around this. And if you're watching this on live, go ahead and put #live. I want to say hi. And if you're watching this on replay, let me know that you're a part of the replay team. So I'm going to share my information on human design, just so when you look at your own chart, this is from Genetic Matrix, and when you're looking at it, you're looking at something called type. And when you see the type, it says that I am an emotional manifesting generator. So what does that mean? You're like, yeah. How does that help you create healthy boundaries? How does that help you make the most aligned decisions? And so for me, and I'm going to show you how it's parallel, the information is parallel and accurate when I look at another personality gift cluster system. So that means for me that in order for me to make the most aligned decisions, I need to wait. Because as a manifesting generator, I'm a time bender. If you ever read Who Moved My Cheese, I'm scurry. I just like scurry off. I get an idea and I run, you know. You know how they say you're not supposed to be multitasking? And it's true for most of the population. I think it's like 30% of the population is a manifesting generator, where time benders were actually wired for success to multitask. Most people are not. We also have a lot of energy. Most of the population, 70%, they say, is some kind of generator, which means that you have a lot of energy and you can go for hours and hours and hours, especially when you get caught up in something that you love. The other 30%, they're not lazy. They're not slow. They're just slower. Everybody is wired for success. We're all wired differently. And for me, I'm an emotional authority, which means that I need the gift of time before I make a final decision. Now, the gift of time could be 30 seconds or a minute or 2 minutes, or if it's a bigger decision, just like I found for myself, overnight is all I need. Why? Because I get really charged emotionally and I'm like, oh yes. And how many of us, even if you're not an MG, you get really excited. You're like, oh my gosh, or you have FOMO and you're like, I don't want to miss out. And they're pitching you really good and they're hitting all your emotional buttons. And you're like, I want it. Sold, shut up and take my money. And then you have a little bit later, buyer's remorse. Or you get, like I used to be a serial certifier. So I used to get all these programs and certifications and stuff. You know, even statistically, only 4% of people who buy a program finish. And for those of you who want to do a course, I don't want you to get discouraged. Just add the component of having a support group, because those who have a support group for the course, if they all start and it's like a starting and ending at the same time, the completion rate goes up to 40%. It goes up to over 80% when you incorporate something like a chatbot that will go through Messenger or like Telegram or something like that. So just for somebody, that's for somebody, because I'm empathic and I'm above time. So sometimes people have a question like, oh, I want to do a course, so that doesn't sound so good. No, you can make it better. So yes, make your course knowing that adding a couple of sacred tech tools is really going to help the person complete the amazing course that you're being drawn to create. So if you want more information on that, I'm more than happy to have a coffee chat with you, and I can show you the things that I use, and some free, cheap, and inexpensive things, and some things that cost a bit more, but they can be inexpensive for you if you do it yourself. So there's always a way for you to get it done. And when we're creating courses, right, programs, things like that for people to go through, we want them to complete it. We want to bring excellence, and we want to bring all the juice in. So there's a lot of ways. If you're interested in that, put #course, and I will go ahead and follow up with you so we can have a chat, and I can show you the things that I do. And when I use these tech tools, these sacred tech tools, including sacred AI, they finish. And we want them to finish, right? Because that's when empowerment comes in. They level up. Anyway, so going back to using myself as an example, as an emotional person, and I'm sure you've been there too, right? People have learned how to emotionally blackmail you and emotionally trigger you, right? And a lot of times they are activating a false sense of scarcity, right? So they're like, oh, you have to do it now. I'm never going to have this price again. And then you see them 3 months later and there's the price again. And then they'll say something like, well, I was just moved to do this. And then you realize they've been doing this every 3 months and they're not integritous. Or you end up going through it and you're like, wow, this is not really what I want. It's not that it's bad. It's just not the right fit for you. And so what I have learned is using the human design for myself and for my clients as well, is understanding that no matter how excited I get in the moment, I really have to just pause and give myself the gift of time, even if I have to walk around for like 2 or 3 minutes and then come back to the decision. Like for instance, right now, I had a bunch of tickets that I had for the 10/10 event as a complimentary seat, and then they were sold out at a certain number. And so that offer was sold out very, very fast. And then now we're in the second wave of the offers of things are going to be 11/11 and then 22/22, and then eventually be 55/55. So it's not scarcity. I'm telling you the truth. You can get all the goodies, including some extra one-on-one time on the other side of the masterclass right now if you book for 11/11. And then later on this afternoon, it's going up to 22/22. So don't dilly-dally. That's less than lunch. And you get the replays and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, so that's one thing. To make the most aligned decision, I need to wait, which also means if I'm in a heated discussion, time is my friend, and I need to wait until I say something, especially if it's going to be of a tough love nature. Just so, not that I'm not going to say it, but that I choose my words more carefully instead of just like, in human design, I have something that is called an activated throat, which means that I have been wired to be able to speak a thing and it starts to manifest faster. And not that other people can't, people who don't have that open, but I activate people's voices when they're around me. That's one of my superpowers. And so what happens is that, everybody's activated and they're all talking. We can all get very, very, very emotional. So I just need to honor the way I'm wired for success. It helps me also then to create healthier boundaries, because then I'm comfortable in saying, I need some time. Just give me a little bit to think. And if that person then comes back to me and says, well, you need to do it now, or you're going to lose out, it's an automatic no. Okay, then I honor your time and I honor your process. So my answer is no. And usually they're like, oh, wait, no, I can give you some time. They'll backtrack. This is about you honoring how you're wired for success, and then being able to articulate your boundary of what you need. And that's free will, right? You're taking your free will, your power back by saying, this is what I need to make the most aligned decision. And for me, I need the gift of time, even if it's for a couple of minutes. And when I articulate that, and if somebody doesn't want to honor the way I am wired, that is their choice to make. I have learned then not to take it personal, be like, okay, I honor you back, because that's what it is. And then my answer is no. It's no. The more you practice this, the easier it gets. Now, using the DISC model, DISC, I am a double people person, which means that I'm a influencer, creative with the salt of the earth. That's what I call it, the I and the S. So with the I, right, we'll talk about this more next week. Generally speaking, they're generally speaking very creative storytellers, highly innovative. The salt of the earth people, the S, I don't like, it's called steady. Like that's just, I don't like that. Salt of the earth is a better name to me. So I just renamed it. And so the salt of the earth, we are the backbone of how everything works. We're highly resourceful. We're able to see the resources that we have and work within our resources to make things happen and make the most of what we have in our hands. It is very important for us, that tribal kumbaya kind of feeling. And so because I'm a double people person, you can see the parallel that I can become then very emotional because I'm very attached to people. And then with the I, the influencer creative, you know, we love people. And when you're out of balance there, you will say yes to people because you don't want to disappoint them. Right? So they call that people pleasing. With the salt of the earth, what's really important for them is peace. It's not people pleasing. It's pleasing yourself and overly saying yes to other people because you want peace, because you think that's the way it's going to go there. I have a gift that I understand, and it was unlocked, and I understand it more of why I've made decisions in the past, how sometimes the peace comes through conflict and allowing that conflict to work itself out in order to bring peace. But that's another conversation. But that also helps with a healthier boundary. So as a double people person, again, we see the parallel of the being mindful that because I have such a deep love for people and I want them to be happy and I want them to be well and I want them to be empowered, that I have to be very mindful of what I say yes to and what I say, especially what I say no to. I can talk about, and I'm going to talk about the especially part next week during the personal vitality portion of the masterclass. This is how you take your power back, is using some kind of system or several of them. I like to hodgepodge them together because you get a better picture, and seeing where do you love people? How do you love people? How do you connect with people? How are people connecting with you? And then saying, okay, I need to practice allowing my yes to be yes and my no to be no. And if they want to be, these are rules of engagement. If they want to engage with you, then they will honor your rules and vice versa. If you want to engage with them, then you honor their rules. It's all about honoring rules of engagement and learning that it's okay if they don't want to, if they don't feel like it, if they think you're too much. Have you ever met couples and you're like, wow, I don't know if I can put up with that. But the wife or the husband is like, what are you talking about? They've been together for years and years, and it's like it doesn't even bother them. Because everybody has a different threshold of grace for other people. What bothers me may not bother you, and vice versa. And we need to be able to honor each other's tolerance and grace and not be like, well, why don't they? If they don't want to follow the rules of engagement with you, that's their choice to make. And it doesn't mean that in the moment you won't feel hurt, or that butthurt about it, or offended. But you can choose to become unoffendable. And that's part of keeping your personal vitality high. You know, we also call it being high vibe, is by learning to be unoffendable. And the way you learn is honoring first yourself. We're told in the good book to love our neighbors. Yes, everybody always stops there. but they don't read the rest of that. The key to that is the rest of it. As you do yourself. Part of loving yourself is honoring the way you are wired for success. And if you want more of that, then I invite you to the 1010 events. So that way you can learn how you are wired for success and how other people are as well. Because everything you want is in the gift of someone else, including and especially the gift in you. So once again, I invite you to hang out with me tomorrow because we're going to go through the third pillar that has to do with thriving relationships. And that is one thing that I am really great at. But I think I am wired for that. Coming in this world, being a double people person, just really being so in love with people and wanting to connect with them in a profound way. And now that I understand myself better, I understand why I've been attracted to learn and implement some of the things that I have and why I have relationships with people, I love them and they really, really love me back, including my teenage children, including my amazing guy. And I have a best friend who's my sister. Only because they're your sibling doesn't mean that you're going to be friends. I have I'm fortunate. I'm so fortunate to have people in my life who are my ride and dies. I have many, many of them. I'm really fortunate. But I've learned how to connect with people, to have those relationships thrive. And I'm going to start unlocking that for you tomorrow. And I'll go in a deeper dive next week at the 1010 event. And if this is where I leave you, then know that I love you, that you are worthy, that you were made on purpose for a purpose. And I will see you tomorrow at the same time at 12:15-ish p.m. CST when I come with another daily shift. May God's richest and best be yours, beloved. Bye now.